bit, but today I'm doing another overview of a surplus firearm that's available on the market right now. This, of course, is a Yugoslav M88A. There's been a huge influx of former Yugoslav pistols coming into the US, various models being carried by various outlets. This M88A came to me by way of Atlantic. I don't know if they're the only game in town as far as who's been carrying this exact model. They're making these available for right around $3 for the wood grip version, and you can save yourself an Andrew Jackson, at least at the time of this recording, if you go for the polymer grip version, such as this one. Now, I'm not going to give a whole history documentary type of thing as far as these pistols go. I believe that Michiko has actually covered this series of pistols, so if you want more historic background, that is out there to look up. In short, in case you don't know what this is, you've never seen one, it's completely new to you, this is basically a miniaturized Tokarev clone in 9mm Parabellum instead of the original 7.62x25. More or less the same gun. There's a few differences which we'll get into, but as the name implies, it was developed in the late 1980s. Production might even continue to this very day, or at least up until very recently. At least on the Serbian version of the Zastava website, it's still listed on their catalog. I don't know if Zastava USA has brought any in as of late, or whether or not they intend to. They actually do make the magazines available, though, on the USA website. I think they kind of come and go. But in any case, these did see some military and police service, but also commercial sales and export as well. Now, in case you're wondering what years this specific batch seems to be coming from, well, if internet wisdom is to be believed, and this little number, I don't know if it's going to show up very well on camera, underneath the takedown clip is actually the production date. This would come from 1991, and it's consistent with the fact that this is actually marked Yugoslavia rather than modern-day Serbia. In any case, even though these did see service with military and police, they didn't fully replace their predecessor, the M57, which was also a modified Tokarev clone, and instead, basically, they ended up kind of leapfrogging this design in favor of kind of the more modern, the CZ99. But in any case, that's kind of it for history as far as I know, at least as far as I'm willing to discuss. So for a quick overview, in case you're not familiar with the features of these, it is a single action pistol. It is hammer fired. It feeds from a single stack 8-round magazine. Your mag release is in the same place as kind of your original Tokarevs, all that sort of stuff. It's got the same takedown procedure with the little clip on the side as your original Tokarev. The hammer assembly is modular like you see on the original Tokarev design as well, but there are a few key differences. For example, we actually have a thumb safety here, and this is a factory thumb safety. This is not an afterthought kludge type of thing that's, thrown on there for import compliance or anything like that. That's actually intended to be there. One other thing that they did, which a lot of people are probably not going to be a fan of, and myself included, is they actually threw in a magazine disconnect. So you can see without the magazine in place, nothing's going to happen. Now, as I understand it, that can be done away with if one is so inclined. By the way, the safety sallies, yes, it is empty. I checked beforehand, but in case you don't believe me, there you go. In short, basically a little Tokarev. There are a few other differences that are kind of more subtle that are internal, but we're not going to go over that in this particular instance. So the next thing I want to touch on, of course, is condition. And as you've probably already seen, these are in really relatively nice shape. I'm trying to get the light to catch some of these little nicks here just so you can kind of see. So they're not utterly perfect where they're just untouched like they sat in the factory box or anything like that. But you can see a little bit of flaws right there that may clean off actually. But overall, these are really in very nice shape. Very little in the way of missing finish. I was very pleasantly surprised. Some of the surplus that Atlantic advertises looks to be in really nasty condition, so I was very pleasantly surprised by how good this actually looked. By the way, import mark is here on the grip. It's relatively subtle. Could be better, but could be much, much worse. At least they didn't put a giant billboard somewhere on the slide or anything like that. Overall, very, very pleased with the condition. It doesn't even seem like it's been shot very much. You can probably hear that. It's a little rough, even by like communist pistol standards, but I don't think it's been shot much. I suspect that maybe it'll break in, but in really nice condition overall. I would say that, if I had known that this was what I was going to get, would I make the same purchase again? Absolutely. I think that it's hard to be happier with something like this because really for used surplus, and it's, more than 30 years old now, it actually genuinely looks pretty good. Now, as far as would I recommend this to anyone else? Well, obviously it depends on your budget, what you're into, what you're after, that sort of stuff. If you're into Zastava or you're into like, former Yugoslavian stuff or Serbian stuff, anything like that, obviously it makes a ton of sense. Uh, yeah, why wouldn't you get it, I suppose? If you're into anything kind of, maybe Eastern Bloc adjacent, again, you can easily make the case for that sort of stuff. Or if you're just a beginning collector in general, these are, because they're really affordable to get into. Ammo availability is about as good as it gets because it is, 9 by 19 after all. Magazine availability, as I said, new production mags are available from Zastava USA. The kind of old original military surplus ones, they seem to be a little bit harder to find, but in any case, this is something that can be enjoyed by a collector for, very, very, very affordably. Let's put it that way. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, the other question you may be pondering, because some people that watch my channel are kind of more into modern firearms, practical firearms. So, what about as a modern firearm? We're talking about concealed carry or self-defense, anything like that. Obviously, we're talking a all steel single stack type of pistol. It's fairly dated by today's standards. It really extremely. In fact, it wasn't really state of the art, even in 1988 when this first came out, much less today. Nowadays, you can get something that's smaller, lighter, with a higher ammo capacity and better sights. Although Zastava USA actually does offer upgraded sights for these that are a little bit more modern. But in any case, probably wouldn't be my top choice if I was solely after something a bit more practical. Plus, I don't know, for example, what holster availability would be like for one of these. I suspect there's not a ton of options as far as kind of modern stuff. Not counting, obviously, like the old kind of leather flap surplus holsters that you may find. Those, I think, are actually around for these. But in any case, probably wouldn't be my first choice for that, although not my absolute last choice either. I mean, I'd much rather have something like this rather than like a Brico, Jennings, Jimenez, Sky, or anything like that, because at least it is durable, it is reliable. They're actually relatively compact too. But obviously, if you're going to use it for anything like that, definitely be sure to test it with any sort of defensive ammunition. A lot of these old military designs may not really have been designed for use with hollow points, so definitely test it. Although really, you should be doing that with any modern firearm as well. You shouldn't be, taking it for granted that whatever gun you're going to use is going to work with whatever ammo you prefer. So in that regard, it's not really that much different than any other pistol. But in that sense, like I said, it wouldn't be my first choice, but it wouldn't be dead last either. It certainly could work. It is a 9mm pistol. It's not a toy. But really, I think that's kind of all I have for you on this one today. Thank you for watching, of course, as always.